All right, here we go. 31 to 40. This set is kind of one of the more tame ones. I would say there's, relative to other sets that you've been through already and ones in the future, I would say this one is not too bad. And the really good thing though is that we will either hit level 60 before the boss, or we will probably get to level 60 after we defeat the boss. So that's pretty good, because then we can really start saving a lot of time. I know this first part maybe seems like it's taking forever, or, you know, there's kind of like, we're kind of grinding kills a little bit, but once we hit level 60, we can really start cutting some corners and just focus on getting to the higher floors. One thing I will say, actually, and I'm just going to do it just to show, if you're doing a big pull like this, which you don't have to, again, I just do these things because to show you that you can save time by doing it. But if you are doing this, you really want to be mindful of all of the corners here. It's very common to see just slightly off the wall traps here, and that can be pretty devastating if you're not using a sustaining potion, or you might have steel on, or whatever. So you really want to be careful, like right on these like kind of corners here of the entrances of all these rooms. You really have to be careful because it's common for traps to be just right next to them. So if you are going to be doing kind of these slightly bigger pulls, I recommend using a safety on the early floors before floor 4, because you can't get lurings on those floors. So I would recommend that. And then you can use sights after if you'd like. Or alternatively, you could just be safer and just do, you know, one pull at a time, something like that. But if you'd like to kind of speed up this section, it's totally safe to do this as long as you take the precautions to do so. So I'm going to use a fortune since we're sitting on 3. Figured I might as well safety just because I was talking about it, so I don't want to, you know, do the whole do as I say and not as I do thing. Like, I'll use the safety. I'll show you it's not really a big deal. Safety is one of those things in Palace of the Dead that I would say doesn't... The more experienced you get, the less value it has. I'm not going to go into all the trap details, but basically just know that the traps are pretty decently well understood. So if you do a good job of learning the traps, you can kind of eliminate your need for using a safety altogether. So it's something that I would recommend to use when you're starting out more, because you're not going to have as much trap experience. And especially if you're going to be doing pulls like this, then you're going to want that added safety to make sure that you don't accidentally, you know, step on a toad trap or a silence pacification trap or whatever. So I would definitely recommend using your safeties if you're going to do stuff like this. I know we're kind of just glazing over the enemies here, but there isn't really a whole lot to talk about in my opinion. The mobs here are pretty tame. They don't really do anything too crazy. Can't remember. Okay. So yeah, I mean it's a pretty tame set. We're gonna affluence because we're at 3. I'm just gonna get rid of my intuition because I don't like having them in my inventory. Blind and sprint penalty. So, as mentioned previously, if you'd like to get around the whole blind, you could use Lust or Rage or Rezo to get around it if you want. Generally, you'd like to save those for things, but seeing as we're just trying to get out of here and all those palms will go back, I think I'm going to use a Lust here. And just to show how powerful Lust is, this isn't a huge floor, but I'm going to sustain, arm's length, shade shift, then go into Lust, and I will be completely safe doing this. Move just a tiny bit. Do not stand in that, you will get stunned. The mummy attack. And there we go. That's it. That's the floor. So, we never missed because we used Lust. And we were pretty safe because we had our sustaining potion on. We used arm's length for anything that could do a melee attack, so it would be slowed down. And we also applied shade shift, so we had a shield. And that's pretty safe. We didn't even have to use a witching there. I'm gonna hold off. This will be probably the last set that I don't use a flight on purpose. And again, it's just to get experience and levels, so we get to 60 as fast as possible. I'm gonna use a sight here because I could get alluring. We got our safety back. I know I might sound like a broken record, but you do not have to play this way. If you'd like to just go one enemy at a time, that is totally fine. Ooh, nice, we got a mimic. I'm gonna witching. And then fortune. If you'd like to do one enemy at a time, that is totally viable. It will take longer, but it's totally viable. There's no reason not to do one enemy at a time. I just am trying to make it go a little bit faster for me. And I know this is safe, so I will go for the AoE pulls here. I guess just know that, you know, you're not limited to just doing one pull at a time. I'm gonna strength here, but I'm not gonna steal until I'm about to leave, just so that I get more value out of it on subsequent floors. Because I don't really need a steal for 3 enemies at this point. Okay, now we'll steal. Could be a mimic, so we'll check it. It's not. I think I'll safety again, just because I think this might be a small floor-ish. And that means I won't have really a lot of opportunities. Oh, I was wrong. I should have sighted. That's okay. Kind of just took a guess, and I was wrong, but it's fine. The sight would just maybe give us a chance to get alluring for some extra enemies, but that's okay. I had 3 of the safety, so I felt more inclined to use that. Eyes on Me can hurt a bit if you're getting all of them at once, but... So this is a little interesting because I don't actually have a witching, but it's okay. We will survive. The witching kind of just makes it easier. But if you're comfortable with ninja and you're comfortable with your AoE, you can definitely handle that. Just have to be mindful to make sure your sustaining potion's on, use Bloodbath, you know, use your other defensive like Arm's Length and Shade Shift. We'll get through it just fine. This is a rage, very good. So because I'm sitting on 3 of those, I'm, like, the first opportunity I see that looks like a good rage, I'm just going to use it. And I'm going to operate like that for most of the run. We won't really start holding on to rage until we get to kind of the end of the run. Like, maybe starting 150-ish or so, 155, somewhere around there. So you'll notice that I did a smaller AoE pull here, and the reason behind that is because of the Nightmare Monk, and you can LOS their pull-in attack, but it just creates an extra thing that you have to worry about, so I just get rid of them and then continue on with the rest of my pull. Oh, see what I was talking about earlier? That was just like right off the corner and I stepped on a trap, so you really do have to be careful. However, I can showcase this enemy will come up later on the is it 131 or 141? Well, I'm blanking. Either way, it doesn't matter. As long as you move though, it will hold true for that one later. As long as you're moving, it actually can't deal damage to you. It's basically doing a targeted AoE every single time it casts that spell. So as long as you keep moving and don't double back on where you were, that enemy will never deal damage to you. So kind of a good thing to keep in mind on the later floor. We are getting a good amount of experience. We're almost level 60. This is great. We'll just finish it off here. Very good. 2 more enemies. We'll take care of them. I'm just going to do this. It's just going to be faster that way than having to care about a lightning burst. Almost dead. There we go. Knockback penalty. So we won't use a rage here because of the knockback penalty. Actually, I'll just show you what happens. Actually, for the sake of learning, I'll show you what happens here. So this is no knockback. So if I use a rage here, see what happens. I'll aggro this enemy. Nothing. I just do 700 damage, something a hit. I think this scales later, obviously, but this is not, you know, this is not what rage is supposed to do. So you definitely don't want to use rage on a no knockback floor. Sometimes there will be people that will reach out for help and they're like, how come I used Pomander of Rage and nothing died? Like, did my game bug? And sometimes they don't put it together that it was a no knockback floor, which is okay. I mean, unless someone tells you or you kind of spend like a good chunk of time thinking about it, it's definitely pretty easy, I would say, to be able to miss that. So that's why I always try to bring it up and showcase it when I can, just to show what happens. And the game is not bugged. That is a intended part of the game. Purity, we don't need that. I guess I'll just pull with Hisatsu, since I don't have a reset ready to go. We got an altar, and I think we're just ready to leave. We are almost off this set. Site. So what I'm checking for here is to see how big this floor is. If it's bigger than 3 rooms, then I'll use a site, otherwise I'm not going to worry about it. It's only 3 rooms. Okay. Then what we're going to do is just fight. So we would have been sucked in here if we were a little bit further away. But if you're right next to the enemy, it doesn't change your position, so it doesn't show you getting sucked in, but same thing. It's something that makes you lose control of your character's movement, which, when there are traps involved or AoEs involved, can be pretty dangerous. So I typically respect those enemies quite a bit more than anything else. Okay. I think we're on track to get level 60 before the boss, which is good, because then we're doing maximum damage to the boss. Alteration. Fortune. Kind of got punished for having Fortune at 3, but we'll use one on the next set. How about we alter? And I'll Fortune as well, just see if we can pick anything up. But the mimics should help increase the chance that we're going to hit level 60. Hey, cool, we got another mimic. I don't think I should have to go crazy on it. I'm just kind of curious. So 2 Raitons and a 1-2-3 did it. And it dropped a rage. Well, that's pretty nice, isn't it? And we got Corrigans even, so this is a pretty easy floor. Could be a trap here, but it's pretty low risk, so I'm just gonna walk through the middle. Okay. And there we go. Level 60. So at this point, I don't really need to kill anything except for stuff that's in my way. And that does start being something that Ninja is very good at compared to other Jaws because of hide. So really at that point, the only thing that is going to stand between us and the exit, once we get all of the kills that we need for the exit to open, is proximity mobs. So we'll definitely start seeing an advantage with Ninja now that we don't care about how many kills we're getting. What was this again? An intuition. I'm just going to use it. I really don't like having intuition in my inventory. Okay. I won't use any pomps for this boss. It's not really necessary. You can if you'd want. And like I said, if you ever get to a boss and you've never fought it before, or you don't feel good about it, I always recommend using Strength and Steel. But Once you're comfortable, you can stop using them, assuming you have the time and the ability to get the boss done without them. But I'll just do the boss without pawns, and then you can kind of decide for yourself if you'd like to use them or not. So we can start doing all the damage to the boss. I think if I had strength on, oops, I'm gonna miss it right on. Oh well. I think if I had strength on, this boss would potentially die before it even completes its full cycle of attacks, but I think for the sake of showing what stuff does, we can just go through this. So these ads will come out. You want to kill them, because unless you kill the boss before it's kind of like, it's not really in rage, but it's just, it's an attack that it's going to do in its rotation. If you don't kill it before that, having those ads out could be very bad, potentially fatal, so I just recommend killing those. It doesn't take too much extra time, so... And let's see, did I time this right? I did. So it's going to use Scream. Another cool thing that Ninja has is a shield, and every once in a while that will pay off in Palace of the Dead, or Deep Dungeon in general, because if you take 0 damage, just like in other parts of the game, occasionally there are attacks that enemies will do where if you take 0 damage, then you actually don't suffer the effect of that attack either. So that usually gives a fear or a terror, but because we took 0 damage from it from our shield, then we actually don't have to deal with that effect either. So just another benefit of Ninja in Palace of the Dead. So that is 31 to 40, and now that we're level 60, we'll start going a bit faster on the next sets. So I will see you there.